You decided at that point that something had to give, something had to change. Or did you still kind of wonder if you could successfully use and
No, I did. I wondered if could successfully use, and I used when I was in that hospital.
yeah.
Yeah, I used with a pump in my heart and a pump in my spine. I like found a cell phone, and that's the insanity of it, right? Like I could not cope with my reality in that very moment, and I used when I was in that hospital, and they were going to discharge me, and I was like, "Listen, Sasha, if you go out of here, I don't know that you're going to make it out alive. I didn't think I would have." So I called my mom,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Hey, I know that like we don't like each other, right? Our relationship's ruined. However, if you don't come and get me, I'm gonna die in the streets of this."
Yeah.
And thank goodness for my other sister too, because we've all made our way back around to recovery. But she sent her like a person to come and get me.
Wow. And so they come and get you. Um, you know that it's jails, institutions, and probably death.
Yeah,
So did you decide to go to treatment? Did you stay at home?
I didn't really have very many options. I didn't know what had happened to my children because they were placed in foster care
Hmm.
so that I could get treatment, and I got sick while being half in and like half out of like treatment because like that fear had still just really grabbed a hold of me.
Yeah.
And I went to treatment in Portsmouth, Ohio. My sister,
Okay.
she went there, so she called her friend and I went down there, and it was February 26th when I got there, and I woke up and it was my birthday. February 26th is my birthday. Shout out.
Hey.
I like the Ulta store, and I wear an 8.5 inch shoes.
Okay. And for 28, right?
I'll be 28 this year.
Okay.
I've been 27 for like 9 years, so I
Yeah.
guess I'll officially get to 28.
Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go. All right. All right.
My sister made a call, and I don't even remember who took me to treatment. I went down to Portsmouth, and when I got there the next morning, I went outside, and I was like, "Where am I? Where in the hills have eyes am I?" I looked across the street, and it was just a mountain, and there was a cross on the mountain, and there wasn't a corner store, there wasn't a 25-cent cigarette, there wasn't
Right.
there wasn't a place that like looked familiar. And for the first time in my life, this was a real big breaking point. I was absolutely alone.
Mm.
I was 100% by myself. And that could be taken as like, that sounds terrible. For me, I was so grateful that I didn't have to be responsible at that point
Yeah.
for any other person on the planet. And I'm so grateful for that option in recovery to have like recovery housing
Hmm.
and treatment and facilities that give people that opportunity that they need if they're really ready.
I'm big on name dropping, and do you want to? Is there, first of all, the facility, if you would like to tell everybody, because just like your sister had been there, and when people watch this, they're gonna feel like they are a little bit closer to you or know you, and so maybe, there might be somebody out there that's like, well, if Sasha went, I
Yeah.
can go. So,
Yeah.
is there any the facility and anybody at the facility, if you wanted to just say,
Yeah, I went to Hope Source, and my sister was really close with a woman named Annette there, and I met Annette there as well.
yeah.
And that's where we went. We were right across the street from a place called TCC,
Hmm.
which was more of like a men's facility.
Hmm.
And um, they took us, shout out to, I forget what gym it is, but his name is Uza, and he was a trainer down
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah, he was like Mr. Miyagi on roids, man. He was really great.
Okay.
And he runs a gym down there. And so they would take us to that gym as part of our like treatment, not just like meetings. Of course, that was a requirement, but did a lot of things in the community to integrate into those places. But I went to Hope Source.
And Portsmouth is really well known for treatment. I mean, there's a big treatment
Very much so.
community
Yeah.
in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Um, what what were the first few days, the first week, 2 weeks like in treatment?
It was pretty difficult for me just because I still had a cane. I had to learn how to walk again, and I had to learn how to write again. I'm much more left-handed. than I was before.
Wow.
So like when I got there, I still had like a pump in my heart. I had to be taken to like the doctors and kind of like special cared for
Yeah.
just so that I didn't get sick. Um, there were a lot of girls in this house, and um, from where I was coming from, that seemed very much like I was apprehensive, but also I felt like this shield to like not try to make friends because I felt different than a lot of the young women that were there. And uh, honestly, it was a breather for me. Like the first couple days were difficult, like to adjust, just because I had to kind of like find my bearings.
Yeah.
But I was able to be quiet and just listen.
You were relieved. You were finally, you can
Yeah.
finally, you got a chance.
Finally, I just kind of like had a chance, and I just began to do what they asked me to do. Um,
Yeah.
Wake up, like make your bed, brush your teeth.
Why did you think you were different? Were you different?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I was. Why? What I mean is different is I think that there is a negative aspect to the things that I went through in active addiction as a woman, but I also think that it may set me apart from being able to range and kind of gauge the temperature of people.
Yeah.
I didn't need to be anybody's friend, you know. I didn't need. I had a bunch of friends, and clearly my picker was like broken for a while. So, uh,
Your friend picker.
yeah, my
Yeah.
friend
Yeah.
picker was broke for a while, and I'm okay with standing like alone. I didn't need to be needed by those girls, and I also saw that what I understand now to be like sick people are sick,
Hmm.
and I didn't feel like I needed to belong in order to just remain in that space.
Yeah.
They were very clicked up, and some of the girls are absolutely, they were great girls. Some of them I still have on like social media. Sometimes I'll get to see them, but I was like set apart for sure.
And so, how long, how long were you in treatment?
Ooh.
So, was there sober living treatment and then sober living, IOP, PHP groups and all that?
No, I didn't do any of that. It was like a sober living house where we got up in the mornings and we had like the gym a couple times a week. They would take us like to the library, do things that were like out in the community. They made us run a 5K. Oh man, it was a 17 for me. That was a terrible experience.
Okay.
They made us do a 5K. And that was I'll never do that again. At least not like super willingly.
Okay.
Um, I didn't have, they had treatment groups, like there was two facilitators that would come in, and they were pretty nice. But the lady that ran it, her name was Annette. She bounced in between. They had a couple other houses there too.
Hmm.
We just did like in-house kind of things. We had like some codependency groups, and
Yeah.
I didn't leave every day, but they kind of like brought things in house.
And so we've talked a lot on previous episodes about how you kind of form a trauma bond with these people that you're living with, and they kind of become family, you know, or it was described as like surrogate family for a while to help get you through. Um, were you a leader in that environment?
After a period of time, I would say yes, because they had like, now what I see is like graduation, like where they leave, and it goes from like that immediate housing into like some sober living, and they moved out. But
Hmm.
eventually, yeah, I was like the best little recovering addict I could be, living in the house. I took over kind of like the mom role and did the shopping and like made the grocery list. And we had a we had a holiday there. I think it was Christmas, maybe. I forget what it was.
I can totally see that
Yeah,
because you kind of take on that, still.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I like to cook and I cook well, so
Okay.
um, that was
If you don't say so yourself.
yes,
Okay.
I do say so myself. I do. But I think that it was just like being nice to other girls. I wasn't very welcome because everybody was very cliquey.
Yeah.
And so our mindsets were just different. Like I had just come from different experiences. And a lot of the girls that were there, my life, I think, was maybe just a bit harsher.
Yeah.
So like reality was
you were a little bit more ready.
I was a bit more hardened, I think. Maybe
Okay.
not ready, but just life experiences were a bit different.
Okay.
So,
I get it. I get it. Um, so then you come out of treatment and then what?
I came back to Lancaster by the grace of by the grace of God. I was able to apply for a sober living house that is no longer like up and operating, but there is a woman. Um, Her name is Ashley, and she had a place called Hustle Hope here in
Yeah.
Lancaster. And that was the first. That was the first time that I recognized my higher power working in my life, and it was the very smallest thing. We have two. She has a son, and I have a son, and both of their names are the same. And that was like my very first like little God moment where I was like, I'm where I'm supposed to be because I didn't really have anywhere else. So
Yeah.
I came back to Hustle Hope in Lancaster.
Talk about a God moment. I've worked with both of your, I know Ashley
Yep,
really well. She's a huge inspiration in the recovery
absolutely.
community.
Yes.
Uh, Her husband also has some significant clean time.
Yes.
My little brother grew up with him. They went to school together. Uh, and I've worked with both of, had the opportunity to work with both of your kids, man. And it's just really, um, our higher power has brought us all together.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ashley was like my first God moment. And she was can I cuss?
Yes, absolutely.
She was a dickhead. Ashley had a lot on her plate, but when I see it now and I see the things because we spent quite a few years like becoming very close with each other.
Yeah.
She was under a lot of pressure and she was still like baby fresh, kind of like brand new into rebuilding her whole life. So
Hmm.
I get it now, like looking back in retrospect. But
I don't know her well enough to call her a dick or to say that, but she's serious.
she is, yeah, she doesn't play. And I really appreciated that about her. And I just stayed out of the way. Like she was dealing with a lot of different dynamics during that period of her life, but she created a men's home and a women's home, and she wanted people to not die in the streets. So,
Yeah,
I mean, commends to her for thinking so much of us
yeah.
when we didn't think that much of ourselves.
And I don't think that she would mind me saying that she um, is also from the recovery community
Mhm.
and decided to make a difference to give back.
Yeah, she did. She did. And it was another pivotal turning point in my story of recovery was just Ashley.
Yeah,
I The amount of gratitude I will never be able to express for the things that she gave me, which were kindness and empathy and structure
yeah.
during that time in my life.
So when I met you, um, I think you strolled into the meeting in a Domino's uniform and you were working like two or three jobs. Uh,
I still work two or
yeah,
three jobs.
yeah, you do.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but you weren't working in the field yet.
Mm-mm.
What,
No.
what brought that about?
Well, I think it was just by necessity because
Necessity.
necessity.
How,
Yeah,
ah,
something had to change. When I got to the rooms and like when I came to sober living, actually had some rules like it was meetings. Um, of course, don't use. These are some house rules. And I immediately got a job and just kind of stayed out of the way just so I could try to like rebuild for myself. But her bringing me to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous absolutely helped change and shape the direction of my life. Um, I had stayed in those rooms for we're going on almost 7 years now
yeah,
of
this is where
continuous,
everybody would clap. This is where everybody would
yeah,
clap. Yeah.
continuous clean time. What was the question?
Um,
What brought me to like working in this
oh yeah,
area?
yeah, yeah, yeah. How did you, or why did you transition from working two or three jobs to now
Well,
now
I
you're
wanted out
full
of sober
blown?
living to begin with, just because like I wanted to go and like have my own things. And Ashley or House of Hope had like this transition program where if you completed, like they would help you like get an apartment and those kinds of things. And
Okay.
so that's what I did a few times until I needed a better job, so I started working at Anchor Hawking,
Hmm.
and that is like my kryptonite. That just like that place, I absolutely love Anchor Hawking and for what it was able to do for me. I worked there for like
Yeah.
3.5 years while I learned about things like credit and
Hmm.
accountability and being on time and being early.
Yeah.
So I worked there and I worked another job at Domino's too on the weekends and just I like built my life until I could buy a house.
Yeah.
And during that period of time, I have two sons and they were in foster care when I went to treatment. And from foster care, they were placed with their dad. And their dad had legal custody of them. So I didn't see them for like 3.5 or plus years.
Yeah.
And I needed I needed money to fight that because he wasn't just going to give them up or even allow me to be anywhere near their lives. So I had to hire an attorney.
Yeah. And so working two jobs and working at Anchor helped you do that. And I also think that um, paying for the attorney and taking the time to go through the legal steps that you have to go through also teaches accountability and effort and resilience and all the things that you're going to need when you actually do form that relationship.
Yeah, I think so. Anchor hawking was it was hard for me to leave because I was a little bit scared. I'd been used to it. And it was the first time that I'd been able to have like a stable foundation just for like myself. But I knew that when Maddox and McKindle were gonna come back, and this was really just a hope. I may have never even gotten it. It was just like a hope in the dark.
Mhm.
But I just kind of knew that something was gonna give, that I didn't go through all this stuff just to not be reunited in some way with my kids. I'm their mom.
Yeah.
So I got into the field of working in as an SUD counselor.
Hmm.
And because I thought it was going to give me a better work-life balance, I thought that like I wasn't going to be as physically exhausted or mentally exhausted. And, it turns out I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong about that. It's just new levels, different devils.
It's hard
It is very hard. Yes,
and
it is.
taxing and oh man, mentally
And I
hard.
wasn't good at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely was 1,000% not good at it for like a long time, and there's still a lot of pieces that like I'm not that great at.
Yeah.
The people to people contact, absolutely for sure. Communication, 100% my gift.
Hmm.
Writing a treatment plan, fuck no.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that people in treatment or people thinking about becoming a counselor don't see. I mean, there's all the notes and computer work and continued education and uh, dealing with bosses and people in the treatment team and ah man, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that I did not account for when I was doing like my home study and working the jobs, taking care of the kids every other weekend, like all of the stuff. I did not account for any of that when I got there. And it has been a very eye-opening experience to
Yeah.
work in the field of substance use counseling.
So this brings up another thing. What I'm thinking as you're saying that is also, so there's a lot of um, women out there that are fighting for their kids and trying to get their kids back and stuff like that. And I've heard you speak about this. Also, when you're fighting for your kids and you're wanting them back and then you get them back, there's also some things that you didn't account for and some things that you didn't sign up for and think about and all that stuff. What are some things that you would caution ladies too about, fighting for their kids, getting them back, becoming a part of their life again?
You have to prioritize self.
Mm,
You have to prioritize self. There isn't a person that directly takes care of me or my personal needs.
right.
And as a mom, we wear every hat that there is. We are nurse and driver and taxi cab, and we're the alarm system. We're the did you wash your clothing? We're the nanny. all of those things.
Get your dirty ass in the shower.
Right. Yeah, we're all of those things. I had quite some time in between from when I came to sober living after treatment and then when I was able to finally get to see my kids. And that is another God piece for me because it was the first time I was able to focus on myself and to worry about just Sasha. Because I've always been somebody's like mom or sister. I'm the oldest of five.
Okay.
So it was my mom, all of our kids, and I was the oldest. So I've always been taking care of something. And it was very difficult at first to just take care of myself because I had to look at me. I had to look at the first bout of recovery guilt, right? Like you're a piece of crap, like you abandoned your kids, like
Mhm.
all of these things. Then I had to start dismantling like what was mine, what is a disbelief, what is a negative belief, what are things that are triggering this. And I got a big open space to work on the reasons that eventually led me down a path of self-destruction with active drug use.
Yeah. Uh, it sounds like a lot of answering the steps questions.
Yes.
You,
Yes,
you work the steps?
I do.
You got a sponsor?
I do.
That's
It's amazing.
yeah.
Listen, I don't even understand her. Okay. This lady like floats. All right. She
Yeah.
literally just floats into a room. She is graceful and soft spoken and inspiring. And she just like takes women underneath of this wing of like softness and mercy and just loves them back together. Not just her, but all of the women that I have had the pleasure and opportunity of developing relationships with.
Mhm.
I am merely a product of the people that loved me back together. I'm a product of all of the women who stuck by me and was like, "Ah, that's you're actually not a bad person. Ah, that doesn't make any sense. Ah, write that out again." You know?
Yeah. Some of the recovering addicts that have worked the steps and that have um, blazed the trail, predecessors, they call them, are some of the best people. I mean, just
On
inside
the
and out.
planet.
Yeah.
On the planet. There isn't one thing today, except for like maybe like ocular surgery or like eye surgery or maybe like a kidney replacement. If
Okay.
I pick up my phone, I'm gonna find an answer in that phone. If I
Okay.
have a need, it is because of a relationship or a foundation of relationships that I was able to create
Mhm.
with members of 12-step programs.
Yeah.
There's not one person, there's plumbers, electricians, people that build houses, mechanics, master mechanics, chefs. Somebody works for the post right now, like they work for delivering the mail.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't one
Mm.
thing that I could not manage without just picking up that phone because of people in recovery.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the 12 steps, the spiritual principles, I have said before, I think it should be a class in high school that's a requirement to take. Learning about yourself, you never get a chance to do that.
No. And really not in today's age either, because we've got social media for everything. We've got a phone, excuse me, shoved like right in our hands. Kids are learning a lot differently today. That in-depth self-exploration that the 12 steps give human beings
Hmm.
can be cast over any person. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter if you've never touched a substance in your life, but what if you've never had a successful relationship?
right.
What if you've never been able to hold down a job? What if you have the worst self-esteem ever? Any
Yeah.
of those things.
So something that I personally run by Sasha is relationship hangups
Yes.
that
Yes.
I have and personal struggles and stuff, and we talk in depth about it. What do you think about relationships in the rooms? 13 stepping.
I think it's a terrible idea. I think you absolutely should not do that in any form. I think that if you are going to, for lack of a better term, shit where you eat, then you need to have some extensive periods of clean time, and that you should have
Right.
definitely done some deep in self-discovery because those rooms are full of sick people who are trying to get better.
Hmm.
And sick people love sick people. I love me a red flag. I love, like padded up 6'4", you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
forced credit score, right? That's what I used to like. And there was a lady when I went to treatment, her name was Dory, and she was like, 70 years old, old alcoholic, love her to pieces. She gave me the most pivotal piece of advice. She said, if you want to stay clean and you want to stay sober and find out who you are, no sex for a year, no boyfriend for a year, no relationship of any kind. And that I took that and I ran with it.
That's hard, Sasha.
It wasn't that hard. I didn't think it was that hard. It wasn't that hard to me.
It's really not. You got to go through all the seasons.
Mhm.
You got to go through all the feelings and emotions that come with all the seasons, all the holidays, and you got to do it. Just do it one time alone. Do it one time alone. And so I tell people, if you're gonna 13 step, do the 12 steps first.
Yeah.
Do the first 12
Yeah,
first.
at least in the first 12 with a sponsor that has a sponsor, right? Who's done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big piece of advice for me. And also when I got there, I didn't have any business trying to be with anybody else. There were plenty of examples that I got to see in the rooms of people who got together and went back out and relapsed over and over again. And some of them I've had to go to their funerals
Hmm.
because we have a feelings disease, right? We want to feel however we want to. And if I see that guy or that girl and they make me feel good, I'm going to go ahead and distract myself from this deep inner work that's uncomfortable. And oftentimes it has not ended up very well in the rooms.
So what do you think about I've been wanting to run this by you. What do you think about couples? Like, if you're planning on having a life together, then work the steps together.
No,
Why?
no, because you're not each other's sponsors. Those self discovery
Well,
steps.
work them with the sponsor first,
Mhm.
and then maybe come back and see what don't. I think that you should want to know who your higher power sponsor, what they think a higher power is, what they think uh, is damaging and not damaging, and some of the critical decisions that they make.
Well, I think that that's part of their personal relationship that you've been able to see through the program of working the 12 steps. The outcome is evolution and growth.
Hmm.
That's what comes out of working the 12 steps. And those things being separately, though, I think that that helps build each individual person and their characteristics so that they can develop and strengthen communication skills. They can strengthen their abilities to identify triggers, to identify a problem, and then have that as a, I don't know, like this connection piece that they can talk about. However, it might work out. I've never seen it done.
So what I'm hearing is if you work the 12 steps and you do them right with the sponsor, then you won't, it's not necessary.
That's right. It's not necessary. And I think that those two, from what I have seen of successful people in the rooms who have, at least from what I see success, they have been able to maintain employment, right, full
Mhm.
time. They have good relationships with their children. They've been able to, get married without unwanted or like unplanned pregnancy that's kind of pushed that in onto them.
Mhm.
Those people have sponsors and they also have different lives and support systems so that both of the parties are not strictly depending on each other for that source of healing or, getting it from the same plug, essentially.
Yeah. And so I get it. I get it. And so, and anybody that's working the steps or has worked the steps one time through, I think will get it also.
Mhm.
Um,
I think that they're doing it right. Yes.
yeah.
I think that they're really taking an honest and open look at yourself, that you recognize maybe we're not in the best positions right now to be involving ourselves in such a personal, deep way because we can still be harmful. So,
Yeah. You don't even know who you are.
right,
You don't even know yourself. So how can you
right.
give any part of yourself to someone else?
I'll be clean for 7 years in January, and I have not had a boyfriend.
Nice. Well, I don't.
I don't know if it's like nice,
Yeah,
like
I
it
don't. Well,
sounds kind of
the
like
seven
cute,
years.
but
The 7 years, nice, but I, man, it's important. You know. Uh,
well, I was really uncomfortable. I think that if most people were being very, very honest, the uncomfortability without the use of substances to cover up the way that we feel is a big driving factor in those relationships, those 13 step, those things that happen. And realistically, I think that um it stops the growth process.
yeah,
And
yeah. You're brand new. You're you have no idea how to handle your emotions. You have no idea how to handle yourself or
And I
feelings.
didn't like myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that other people liked me. And I had a bunch of experiences that compound fractured that belief
Hmm.
and solidified it. So it took a lot of alone time, and I still go to counseling to this day. I've been in the same counseling place for almost 7 years.
Yeah.
A lot of work to just work on me, and I'm okay with that.
Even the best counselors have counselors.
They should. Your counselor should have a counselor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, also because we take on so much transference
Yes.
of things. Um, but you are doing it. You are freaking doing it. Bought a house.
I did. Yeah, I bought my own house. I'm the first person in my family like history to buy a home. Like my mom wasn't able to do that. My father, he was able to buy a trailer. Not that that's not as important, but
Mhm.
my mom's mom wasn't able to.
Yeah. I want to maybe put some emphasis on this because, a lot of people say, well, I don't have time for this or can't do that. And um, bought your house uh, while working the steps, going to meetings,
Yeah.
working on yourself, also fighting for custody of your kids, getting them every other weekend or a lot more than every other weekend when stuff wasn't so good at home and just freaking doing it, man. Got your CDCA
Mhm.
while doing all of this,
Yes.
you know?
Switched into the field, completely turned my life
Yeah.
another degrees of 360 when Maddox and McNichol came to live with me 24/7, like for instead of like every other weekend or whenever the visitation was, there had to be changes made. So I had to make
Hmm.
myself more available to their needs. And that was another level of when recovery really happened. Recovery wasn't the stopping of using substances. It's how I'm going to be able to gauge and deal with life when it's at different temperatures.
Phew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was stalking your social media
Well, you were.
and so it says, um, yeah, I was stalking your social media and we'll go into a little bit more of that. But so I like to hear about people's routines and their habits and stuff like that because you got to have something for yourself. We talked about self-care, and one of the things you had on your social media was self-care is removing myself from situations before I got to be ignorant.
Hey, you know what? That sounds like solid advice. Absolutely. I have two rules for me. My two rules that I have to follow every single day are don't get high and don't hit people. Those are the two rules that I have to live by. Those are my cardinals.
Yeah.
Because if I get high, then I don't have any more options. I'm back in the insanity.
Yep.
If I hit somebody, I go to the workhouse. So I those are the two things I have to do right every day. Those
Yeah.
are it.
Sometimes loving people is not smacking the shit out of them.
Hey, yes, sometimes self-love just looks like, I'm gonna put my hands in my pockets, right? And I'm also going to just kind of like walk away from maybe some things that could be potentially harmful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are my two rules.
So I also I figured I'd get you with that one.
And if it's on social media, I talk smack on social media. I enjoy some of those things. Actually, something came up, I don't know, probably like a week or two ago, and just kind of like scrolling down and um I'm so grateful for the journey from then until now. And it wasn't even before I was like really got into heavy addiction. It was just I was in a bad relationship, and just seeing the crap that like I was posting was very not like Sasha Fierce who I am today, hot sauce Sasha.
Yeah.
Very much not like me. And you could just see where I was just really broken, and it's not the same stuff today because I troll the shit out of my friends. I mean, you're gonna get 74 TikToks. You're gonna get.
Hmm.
I'm the one that's gonna call you at 6:01 and be annoying in the morning on your day off, and just give you a bunch of crap on your social media for sure.
Yeah, that I know.
Yes, you're welcome.
That I know. So I see a lot of cooking and food prep and stuff like that on your social media now.
Yeah.
Is that
I've always been a cook. I've always had to cook. Like I said, my mom had 5 kids and I was the oldest, so I've always been able to cook. And
yeah.
it has having coming into recovery, I had to find a different relationship with food as well because food was a coping skill too.
Hmm.
When I first came home and you're depressed and stressed and feeling like all those apathetic feelings towards self, and I had a lot of unexpected weight gain from when I was in the hospital. I was on like steroids, so I definitely had some things I needed to figure out about food and how to eat like an anti-inflammatory diet and understand all the toxins and poisons that are in food, and then I have a spicy household. Everybody is somewhere on the spectrum where I live.
Okay. Is
So
that what you call spicy?
it's spicy. It's definitely spicy at my house. All of us are somewhere underneath of that spectrum. So learning about different foods to be helpful for my children has been an interest that I've needed to dive further into. Like my kids
Yeah.
get mad because I'm not really like a McDonald's mom.
Hmm.
Not only because it's expensive, but
Yeah.
because like that stuff doesn't leave your bodies and
Oh
um
man, your mental health is so directly connected
to
with.
your gut health.
Oh my goodness.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I have a jar of sauerkraut in my fridge at all times and I eat it. I eat like 2 or 3 spoonfuls a day. I eat fermented foods. I have kimchi. I've got
Hmm.
everything pickled, all of that, all
Yeah.
of those. My kids are like, "You're crunchy," and I'm like, "You have bad guts." Eat what's in here. I'm not going
Both your
to.
boys are redheads.
They are redheads. Yes, they are. Yes, everything in my life is redhead. I have a wiener dog.
Oh, I want to get into the wiener dog. So you went from relationships and relationships with men and bad relationships and stuff like that. So now you got a wiener dog.
I do. I do have a wiener dog. Her name's Hermione Granger, and she's a redhead too. She's a terrible wiener dog.
What makes a terrible wiener dog?
What makes a terrible wiener dog is that she doesn't want to. She's bougie, right? She thinks that she doesn't have to go outside if it's raining. Okay, she
Oh,
just looks at me like I'm not putting my paws out there.
well, that's because she's short and like the grass, probably wet grass.
I mean, I get it. I don't like to go outside in my fresh shoes either if it's raining, you know. But she gets into everything. You would think that for like a 17-inch tall person or animal that she wouldn't be able to do things, but she can. She can get like up on the counter or the table.
Hmm.
She just fell down the steps like 2 days ago.
Well, she's also in recovery,
She's
right?
also in recovery. Yes, I had a emergency situation the other night. Gosh, was it like Sunday? I went to the grocery store, came home and cleaned out my car, and I'm like, "Hey kids, where's the dog?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like the other thing that lives here,
What
you
dog?
know. They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Where's my winter dog?" Oh, I mean, I think she's just like outside, and I'm like, "Okay." And
Mm.
I go and I let her in the house, and she like slid into the kitchen, and I look at her, and she just kind of like face planted, and immediately I have an anger problem. Okay. Um, I don't like things that scare me that much because I want to hurt something. I want to like destroy stuff. And my dog could not stand. And I'm like, what? Okay, my dog. Right? I'm like freaking out. So I call my sister. She's like, here's an emergency vet. Take her up
Well,
there.
at least she didn't have far to fall. She just.
Well, I mean, I have 18 stairs. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh.
if she falls down the stairs, that's like, that could be breaking the neck, right? And she's just a long body bitch. Okay. She's just long body. She's like one of them old Cadillacs. She's just
Okay.
very long and short. I took her to the vet and turns out that she somehow ate a substance and she was underneath the influence of something. And they're like, no, your dog's just
I'm
ripped.
sorry.
And I'm like,
I don't know
I
why.
sat on the floor with this vet and I said, I know you're lying to me. She's like, ma'am, I'm not. Here's a urine screen. And I said, I thought to myself, there's not enough room for 2 drug addicts in the house. Okay. Like I can't have a wiener dog that's addicted to finding whatever on the ground and eating it. So
That's so good. Well, okay. Here's because um your son comes and talks to me every once in a while and he's like, Ken, it wasn't me. You know,
Yeah,
Ken, it wasn't me.
I
You just,
absolutely blamed them. And I also did probably say, like, you have to move out. If something happens to my wiener dog, Hermie Dermy, my sweet baby girl, you have to move out. You have to live somewhere else because how are you not going to be able to be responsible for a four-legged, 17, not even 17, probably 10-pound dog, if that. And they were freaking out. They're like, "Oh, I didn't do anything." I'm like, "You did not do anything either." Like that mom stuff. Let me point my fear at you because my
yeah,
dog's gonna
yeah.
die.
They didn't protect her from going out
Right.
and using.
Yeah, they didn't know that. Yeah, from using whatever was in the yard because that's where I got her from was the yard. So
Yeah.
when the vet was like, "It's really, really common, Sasha," I'm like, "It's not," because I felt very justified in saying like, "No, everything in my house is heroin free, right? There's no drugs over here." She's like, "It could have been like in your yard or whatever." I took super offense to that because that's like the little, insecurity in
My
me.
side of the street's clean.
My savage street was clean, and clearly, I don't know that it was, but she's like 5 days sober now. She's
Okay.
back to.
She had to get a white key tag.
She did have to get a white P tag. She just fell down the stairs yesterday or the day before with a bag of chips on her head. So
Okay.
that's why I say she's a bad wiener dog.
Well, she's compensating with food. She turned
Hmm.
from weed to
Substances.
food.
Yeah, from weed to food. Yeah.
Golly, golly.
Maddox was like, I can't believe, you're gonna choose this dog over me. I'm like, I'm not choosing her over you. What I am saying is that you might have to sit with that because you guys have to be able to be responsible for something,
She
right?
needs me.
I'm like, she clearly you guys are, trying to kill her.
Mm,
So
mm. I'm so glad that she's recovering.
me too. I was shocked and devastated and in disbelief too that my dog was high.
She needs to work the step.
It was really scary. I've never seen a dog be ripped before. Like never seen one. And she's just a girl.
Yeah, and it wouldn't take much.
No, I mean, I think really she might weigh 7 pounds. She's not a very big wiener dog. She's a tiny baby redhead.
I'm trying to figure out how to work that into the title of, you know,
This
season.
episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
How to, how to, I don't know. I don't know. If anybody has any suggestions, put it in the comments. Um, this is your first school year in a long time with the boys.
Yeah, this will be like yeah, like 2 years. It's been really tough since, excuse me, Maddox and McKendall came back. My whole life had changed. I'm normally pretty good at it, but there's been a lot of things where I had to make a lot of adjustments and really gauge the temperature for them
Hmm.
because even though we had been separated for some time, like I had been working the steps and in recovery and keeping myself like in a safer environment, that was not the same parallel for Maddox and McKendall. They had a different experience um alongside themselves that didn't get handled in the best ways. So
Yeah. And
getting them the services they need.
yeah, you are kind of in the middle of all that, and we won't get real deep into it, but it will be great to have you back on maybe
Yeah.
and go into a lot of that. But one thing I was reading, it got me kind of I don't know, it just made me think of you, got me kind of emotional. Uh, this is Sasha M said this. The amount of pregame mom yelling to get first day of school pictures is wild. However, we were able to get a first day picture. And boys, I hope you enjoy this new year. I wish you the best of luck. Making new friends, creating high school memories, and you went on and on and on. And
Yeah.
you have several um posts where you're upfront with them and just the communication is pretty upfront. Whenever I need an honest answer, I know where to go.
Yeah, I remember that morning. They didn't want to take a picture and I'm like, "Listen, you're getting out there. okay? Or I'm not going to give you your driver's license. You're going to do what I say, okay? Or I'm going to professionally mom manipulate you. So get out there and smile. I don't care if you woke up 9 minutes ago. That's your fault, okay? Because you've got two alarms. But yeah, I bully them a little bit.
Yeah.
I kind of have to. They're redheads. Yeah, but it was a lot. But it felt like um comparison is something that's hard for me in recovery too. I try not to compare, but I see like all of the moms that I do know, or even just being on a social media where their kids are like first day of kindergarten and second day or third year, and my addiction took some of that from me.
Yeah.
It did. It took a lot of my presence, my mental presence, and even though they're in high school, I bullied them into making them do it, and I'm going to continue to do it. But
I think almost all the parents out there, they've probably bullied their kids into doing it
yeah,
too.
I'm going to make them do it. Otherwise, I'm going to take all your stuff away. But that was a lot. They were like, I don't really care, but I think in some way that it did mean something to them too,
Mhm.
that I was doing the things. I'm like, let me take a picture of you in the front yard. Like, at one point I thought I'd, maybe not even ever get to see them again. And now they're shuffling out of the house, not wanting to go anyways, but they were able to put on brand new clothes because I worked really hard and I got them some clothes. They had new shoes, they had some school supplies, and
Yeah.
was like, give me a picture.
What's how do you get from manipulator to motivator? Is it the same?
I think it's a thin white line. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that kind of, I don't know, maybe all things are a shade of manipulation. I think that there's a gift to communication, and that if you understand what your object is in front of you, and
Mhm.
if you pay attention to their patterns, you'll be able to at least try to modify or adjust your behavior.
What if you could shake a female into recovering and just tell her um, maybe one or two things to get some of these ladies that are out there, they're sick, they're suffering, they don't know what to do. Um, what would you say?
Mhm. I would say the first thing that I would do is remove all outside distractions.
Yeah.
No, no relationships, no sexual relationships. We don't need to be engaging all of our energy in trying to have somebody else validate who we are because we feel empty and alone and isolated. That would be my first suggestion, is that stay out of a relationship for a little while. And my second suggestion would be is to get a counselor, a
Mhm.
therapist, a license like BSW, LSW, whatever that is. Go get you some mental health counseling and start to prioritize self. Because if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. And oftentimes we have been subjugated through like history to put everybody else's needs before ourselves, or to be prim and proper or pretty. And I mean, I identify as a problem, so
Yeah,
I think that if women take the time to put themselves first, nothing else is going to have to come last.
that's beautiful. I would say the same for men too.
Yeah, I think that if we spend enough time with ourselves in the alone places, we can figure out what it wants, because there's a desperation or something. If you sat with your grief or your pain long enough, you know that it was grief, right?
Right.
So I think that just some downtime.
Yeah, alone time. Know thyself. What the ancients used to say and what we should do now. And we have to figure out why we wanted to use in the first place.
Yeah.
Um, I have some core values that I try to go by, that I try to live by. Um, Love, integrity, respect, honesty, creativity, and gratitude. Which one of those resonates with you?
All of them.
Yeah,
All of them. Absolutely.
they.
I think my biggest one that I put first is like gratitude, because I can become really ungrateful for the life that I have today when a minor inconvenience happens, right? When like I step in dog crap if Hermione does it, or if it's too cold in my house. I have the luxury of heat today. I don't sleep outside anymore. So having an attitude of gratitude changes my perspective. And when I'm in groups and I'm or with my individuals or clients, if you have been my client and you hand me an end of group questionnaire, I ask you what are three things that you're grateful for? Because our gratitude can leave very quickly when our ego takes over, our
Mhm.
ego and our pride. And it can kind of change the way that we're actually experiencing a lot of our life. Like my life's really difficult right now. It's in a hot season, but I'm super grateful that I'm gonna go get in that car, right? That I
Yeah.
worked hard for. I'm gonna
Legally.
legally, yeah, legally, right?
Yep.
There's no felonies in the car, right?
Right.
There's nothing that's gonna get me another charge. And I would say, oh man, if I had to put them in a list, I would say gratitude, integrity, and do all things with love. If I don't do it from love, but love doesn't mean soft. Love doesn't mean that I pat you on the butt and act like everything is okay. Love, doing things with love means that I have to do things even when it feels uncomfortable. Yeah.
Honestly, I love you. I'm grateful for you and your integrity that you bring to the table. I respect you and I respect what you do.
Thank you.
Um, and I'm just so
I feel
happy.
the same thing about you. Like, I want to really commend you on, I didn't know you when you got here. And I was very connected to the room. And at first it was a bit like off-putting just because you carry this different kind of energy. And I'm really grateful that our community has somebody in recovery working with our kids, working with our teenagers who gets to sit up and sit in rooms where we weren't eligible before, right? Where we weren't able to. I want to thank you for being with our community's children because the way that the disease of addiction absolutely changed our town over the last 10 years is phenomenal. It wasn't ever kind of the way that we had this epidemic before. And um, thank you for showing up for our kids. Thank you for wanting to be a mentor and to develop for yourself and to still look at you so you can grow and be creative because you are a person that like I have in my bag of people that if I need to figure something out, you're a person that I can go to.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to heal also, and I missed a lot of that time with my children and a lot of those teenage years and stuff like that. I just wasn't available, and I feel like I missed a lot during my teenage years. So I'm just trying to help that group of kids. I'm getting ready to start a 12-step meeting for kids and through juvenile court and stuff like that. That's going to be heavy and fun and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think it's gonna, if we look at that impact over the next 10 years on our town, if we look at the 15-year-olds who are gonna be 25 here locally in Fairfield County, Hopkins County, Perry, all of that, that could make a magnanimous tidal wave of difference in our children so that they don't have the potential to die from like fentanyl overdoses or, they're not drinking by the age of 17 and wrecking their cars. So, um,
I'm so glad you
congratulations
did.
to
I get
you.
emotional about it, man. Like
Yeah.
I would do it for free. And fortunately, the recovery community is making it possible for us to um, stay in recovery and to get paid for helping people. I guess that would be my last question. You know me, where do we go from here? How can I better myself, What do I need to work on?
I don't have like a diagnosis. I don't know if you're like in a 15, 20 or moderate or severe or anything, but
Okay.
no, Ken, I didn't think you were gonna ask me that question. I think that you take a lot of feedback because you've asked me some questions that I'm sure that it's difficult for men to ask, let alone ask women. And I feel like if a man asks me a question, you absolutely want to know like what I think. So, Ken, I think you're on a pretty good path of self-discovery and that your willingness to not engage in these curricular activities has been really beneficial for your self-discovery. I think that our community needs you. So you keep staying clean and whatever you're doing with your education, keep moving that forward, right? So that we can continue to grow from the people that, we have in our community circle.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that, and I want to I want to make a lasting impression so that addicts behind me
Mhm.
will be able to move forward in the easiest. Well, I want to facilitate that. I want to facilitate the moving forward for um, people in recovery and people just trying to get better, man.
Mhm. Absolutely. You're making the door bigger. It doesn't just say Narcotics Anonymous. And I kind of I had like a bit of a rebuttal towards that at first. My name's Ken and I am, and I'm like, I am what? Right? But I had to look at self first. I had to look at me, right? Because it does say in our language and in our living clean and the spiritual principles book that we we can lose that. We can say we don't. My name's Sasha and I'm an addict. You don't have to say that. Like, not that I'm not grateful. It's just you were the first person to kind of do it that I had recognized on a very consistent wavelength where you wanted to be more than that label.
Yeah, a lot of people wonder about that,
Yeah,
you know. A lot of people wonder about that, and I am an addict and I am an alcoholic, but I am so many
other
things.
things. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a little pretentious of you at first. I was like, oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Fantasy, right? You just am. But the more that I've been graced with the opportunity to get to know you and to have conversations with you, it's definitely changed my first few thoughts about un not like in a bad way, but when you meet somebody, you kind of judge them. You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
it definitely has changed over the past year or however long, like 18 months that you came into this community. So keep doing that because I think that not only do you want it for yourself, but our kids need you as an influence because I think that you may not recognize the amount of influence and positivity that you do have on those kids, but our community needs that.
Um, I made the decision that when I made the decision that when I decided to do this, that I would try to be the best. I would try to be the best, and that's not to say that I'm better,
Hmm.
but just the best version of me that I can become. And I study. I do it like I got high
Hmm.
all day,
Yeah,
every day, and so that's the way I do it. And I'll try to help. I'm trying to help and propel and move it forward,
I think the
man.
community's lucky to have a person in recovery be where you are at not only like your employer, but like the locality, the experience that you have is just going to open up a lot more doors for healing and growth in our community.
It's a God thing. It's a source, nature, universe, higher power, all of it together, all of that stuff. Put me there, put me here, and I'm just trying to be open. And I just like with this, I'm just trying to let the divine source shine through me, and it's been really magical, man. It's been really magical.
It has been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool. I'm proud of you for it. It's pretty sweet.
Thank you, babe. Um, we're gonna have you back on, and we'll get some updates with the kids, and we'll talk. And you were one of my most requested people, man. I'm so stoked. I'm so happy. I can't wait to get this out there.
It's going to be good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be cool.
it's going to be cool.
I'm
I'd
glad we
like to
got the
see you
lighting
get,
right.
yes, I'd like to see you get Shannon W up here.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. Okay. You're another one.
Mhm.
You're another one this wants Shannon the motherfucking cannon.
Shannon the motherfucking Cannon. That man has been an absolute pivotal part in the change of my life.
Yeah.
It is the people that came before me. I'm a direct result of the people that came before me. Absolutely.
I am too, and thanks. Shout out to Shannon. Shout out to all the predecessors.
Absolutely.
If put it in the comments if you want to see Shannon. Put it
Yes.
in the comments if you want to see anybody. Come on
I'd like
here.
you to get Ashley in here if she'd come in too, man. I'll tell you what, that'd be
Ooh,
nice. Yeah.
I've been trying
Yeah.
to talk to Ashley,
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
She
She's
lets
got a busy life, man. She's
she
like
does.
84 jobs. She like
Yeah.
runs all the things all the time. So
I'm grateful she lets me tint the windows on the vehicle, on the new vehicle when
yeah,
she gets it.
yes,
I just have to be
yes,
grateful for that.
absolutely. And I think that Heather would be really great coming up here too. Heather M.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We tried to
And Dave. Did you put
acquire
Dave
her.
on here?
Dave P.
Tables?
Dave P. He
Yes.
was just on here.
Yes.
Dave P. Mallory M is in the lineup.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love her. She's so sparkly.
I've heard
I love Mallory.
Yes, she's awesome. I've heard her speak probably 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
Super passionate.
Yes, she is.
She's on the short list. She wanted to come actually tomorrow, but tomorrow's my an anniversary for me, so I'm booked up. Uh, but she's coming soon. She's excited. She's coming soon, and I have a long list. Also some dream people. Would be like Jelly Roll, Rich Roll.
Oh yeah.
Some dream people would be like Theo Vaughn.
Dude, I listen to Theo Vaughn podcast like every day.
Yeah,
Not only because of the things that like he talks about, but I think I'm funny. And I like funny shit. So
yeah.
I listen to Theo Vaughn like every day. I feel like he definitely is on the spectrum. He's got like that autism vibe that's like funny and like just says the things. So
Yeah,
yeah, I listen to Theo Vaughn a lot. I
yeah.
like him. He's pretty cool.
My oldest son recommended him to me, and so I've been listening to him. Uh, my oldest son, he's almost well, he'd be 29 this year. But Theo Vaughn, Teddy Swims, I want to get him on here. He's in Columbus a lot, so
Goodness.
he's on the list. And then there's all kinds of people just right here in this
Do you mean
community.
the singer Teddy Swims?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be my boyfriend. Listen, my goodness, that he said when I lose, I'm like control. I'm like,
That's it.
I'm here for it. I'm like, please do.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Who's in recovery?
yeah, 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 yeah,
That
yeah.
okay.
So
Well,
there's lots of I just want some just real people who are doing real things, real problems, real solutions, real talk. 1111. That's what we do, man.
yeah,
That's what we do.
yeah. I can't wait for the next one if you invite me back on again because we're a little muted in this one. It's like a little held back, trying to keep some things under the shelf.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you got some serious major things happening, and so we are gonna have you come back, and we'll have you come back in full splendor. But this was great. It's gonna help some people.
hopefully.
We
Yeah,
mean hopefully.
hopefully. Hopefully it will.
Absolutely gonna help some people. Sasha, I love you.
I love you too.
Real talk.
Thanks for having me.
1111.